welcome to the Wheel of Crime podcast, the podcast where two ladies play games, mumble profanities, and laugh way too often. Also, this podcast covers topics of sensitive nature, and as such, listener discretion is advised.
Hello. Welcome back to the Wheel of Crime podcast. My name is Jenn.
And my name is Emily. Yes, welcome back. We are here for another new episode of the podcast that's been running since 2018 off of literally nothing but hopes and dreams, since we both have our other full-time jobs, and this is just kind of fun.
This is my weekly excuse to just yap to my bestie. Truly.
Right? No, I love it. I think it's so good, especially because we end up having such weird conversations, and then I can be like, well, Jenn and I on the podcast, we talked about
I know, it's great. I love it so much. But how have you been this weekend?
I'm good. Am I? No, I've definitely been better, but that's fine. I feel like my main issue is the winter blues. January sucks.
Yes.
February sucks. My work gets especially crazy in January and February just because it do be like that
tax
sometimes.
Season.
Literally, it's tax season, and then people come back from the holidays and turn into literally like crazy bitch animals.
Yeah, I can imagine. Honestly, yeah, I beg at work now, but I've been working from home, so it's not like that bad. I'm not going to complain about working from home because it's much kinder to my soul than being in the office for literally 12 hours a day, you know?
No, it is, offices just have a very particular way of sucking your soul out of your body, so at least from being able to work from home, it's definitely a bit more of a nicer on the psyche, I like to think.
Yes.
But yeah, I know, I'm trying to think of like as far as like fun things what I've really been up to, but it's kind of it's tricky when life's super chaotic. I've mostly just kind of been into audiobooks and then taking care of the new kitty, and that's pretty much it. I have tried really hard to get some like me time in here and there, but it's hard, especially when you do have a lot of things on the go. So like the other night I definitely fell asleep on the couch because I was like, yeah, I'll have a singular cooler and read my book. I fell asleep, woke up, touched neither of those things, and I was like, I might as well just go to bed. That was a waste of time.
Yeah, I honestly get it. Like, I feel I have been like, I'm just so tired, and I feel like, because we've had a lot of snow here recently, and I feel like it makes me so much less motivated to do actually anything. I'm like, I would like to lay in bed and watch Love Island, and that's about it.
In that order, yes. It definitely does have something to do with the cold, too. Like, I was walking around the other day in my house, and I was like, I'm wearing slippers and 2 pairs of socks, and my toes are still cold. This is a problem.
I finally understand because my house is now cold. But I used to live in literally hell. For anyone who doesn't know my lore, we lived in an apartment that we were like on the ground floor, but underneath us was the parking garage, which was heated year round. So even with the heat off in our apartment, it always was sitting at around 26 degrees.
I will say,
and in the summer, around 32.
You kind of got heated floors for free, though, is the nice thing. So,
but I was sweating even in the winter. In my own home. It was never a comfortable temperature.
Oh, that I believe. Well, I know. I believe you because I was there, so I understand.
Emily's like, I'm so hot.
Right? And then, I don't know. The audiobook I've been listening to is the Dungeon Crawler Carl series, and that's a lot of fun, but I won't get into it. It's bananas, though. What about you, Jen? What have you been up to other than work stuff? You have anything fun on the go?
Just work stuff, trying to wrap up as many house projects before work gets too crazy, because once I go back to the office, nothing else is gonna get done until I'm finished this job in November.
Yep, that's how she goes, I think.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of where I'm stuck right now. I have stairs with no carpet, and I've got 2 walls with no paint, and that's fine. Maybe in the spring.
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, we'll feel it out, I think.
Yeah. But anyways, we should get right into our episode today, because I got an interesting one for you.
You always do have an interesting one, but I am curious as to what you're going to cover. I feel like you've been on a cult kick recently.
No cults, but it does start with a C.
Cunts.
That's what I was thinking. But no, unfortunately not. Oh. All right, should we spin our first question on the wheel of questions?
Should we spin our first wheel on the question? Yes.
Have you ever done something anonymously?
Yes.
Okay, care to share?
I feel like actually I've done a few things anonymously. I've anonymously left cars on people with vague threats about them being in my parking spot.
Not me. I chase them down so they see my face.
Yeah. I've anonymously donated food to the animal shelter. I don't know. I love doing an anonymous thing. It speaks to me in a certain type of way. I don't know.
See, the first thing that came to my mind was in middle school when like Facebook was like really popping off. Mm-hmm. There was a thing that you could do where it was basically this like app that like coincided with Facebook. I don't know how it worked, but it was like you could anonymously ask people questions, and then like they would
FM.
Yes. So like
I know what you're talking about.
You know who they are, but they don't know who's asking or like who they're talking to. I loved using that. I would be on there like every day, just like chatting to people, thinking I was so sneaky, but probably they knew exactly who it was.
I just remember having a profile, and I didn't ask anybody else anything. Like, I didn't go to other people's things to like send them messages. I mostly just waited for people to send me messages. And I always got literally the most insane like questions on earth. I will never.
It was probably me.
I hope it was. I remember being, I don't know, whatever age this was. But we know what you're talking about. And somebody sent me an Ask FM, and they were like, did you know when I'm alone at night and I'm thinking about you, the only way that I can picture you is by thinking of Jessica Rabbit? And I was like,
I don't think that one was me.
I mean, if it was, that'd be hilarious. Because forever I was like, what bitch out here is thinking that I look anything like Jessica Rabbit? Which, for clarification for you listeners, I am a short, at the time I was a petite, brunette woman. Besides being...
child at that point.
Yeah, well, woman now. Yeah, child at that point. Which, in no way, ever would have resembled Jessica Rabbit. And I was like, this feels like something that was meant to be a compliment, but is instead the weirdest comment I've ever seen in my life about a person.
Yeah. See, not my favorite, but like the thing that I did the most on there, I would say, is I would message this guy who I had a huge crush on. Emily knows exactly who this man is.
Yeah.
And I would just be like, so... what do you do for fun? And he would be like, oh, I'm in this theater group. I'd be like, oh my God, really? Even though I was in the theater group with him. And be like, have you ever kissed anyone in theater? And he would be like, no. And I'd be like, well, have you thought that maybe you should? Like, trying to bait him.
You're just laying the subconscious groundwork.
Literally.
In a super not so subtle way.
I was like, it's perfect. He'll never know it's me.
He'll never know.
I'm sure he knew. I'm sure he knew.
Was at the very least suspicious.
And I was like, I'm being so sneaky right now. Like, I'm a secret agent.
You are super on the down low, right?
Yeah, exactly. Ugh. I'm just so sneaky. But should we spin for our next question?
Mm-hmm.
If you had to wear a disguise, what would you wear?
A part of me wants to go with like the very stereotypical disguise of like a big curly mustache and sunglasses like behind a newspaper just because I think it's really funny.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if I was like actually going to wear a disguise, the best disguise is something that's almost similar to you, like still on brand, but just different enough that it has people guessing.
See, that's why, okay, I was going to say for mine, the Hannah Montana wig, because no one ever recognized that bitch. But I feel like it's that same kind of vibe where it's like, it's her, but it's not, you know?
I feel like for women, it also is like makeup choice. So, like,
Yeah.
for example, if I'm going in disguise, I know what my typical like go-to makeup style is or how I like to dress and wear things. You would just do something that's like in a completely different genre. Like you were saying, like wearing a blonde wig and doing your makeup differently. And most people would not be able to pick apart who you are.
You know what? Maybe I'll try it this weekend.
Wait. This would be really fun if after, because I'm seeing Jen this week and that's why she's saying that. After your little shindig, we all Hannah Montana'd ourselves and hit the bars. That might be really fun.
I think it could be a vibe, you know?
I'm just saying it would be a lot of fun. I don't know.
All right, let's spin for our next question.
Yes.
Are there any new sports that you would like to take up?
Sports.
For example, I'm learning tennis. I started tennis lessons like last summer, but I'm still horrible, so it's a continual learning process.
Lucky for you, you have lots of summers to look forward to.
I hope so.
Oh god, sports that I'm learning or would like to learn. I don't know. I'm not like, I've had people, different people tell me in my life that I'm competitive. I don't really think that I am competitive. And I say that to mean I really don't give a shit if I win it or lose something for the most part, unless it's like Mario Party.
Oh, I care so deeply about the most stupid things if I must win, no matter what.
That's true. You are very competitive. I don't know. Would you call me competitive, for example? Like, for example, if you asked my husband, he would say yes. I don't think that I really am.
You're not, though. Because, like I said, you don't really give a shit. You like, when we're playing games and stuff, you're just like, whatever. I feel like there's things that you want to do well at, but I don't think that's necessarily the same as being competitive.
That's kind of where I am, too. So, I mean, as far as, like, if there was any sports I would want to pick up, I'm very realistic when I say this. There's nothing currently on my roster, mostly because I just am not content at sucking at anything right now. And
I think like you should take up pickleball.
No. Right. Yeah, I'd be so into pickleball. You'd never even know. Join a club. I don't know. I feel like if I was to ever like pick up a sport and actually try at it, I've considered like martial arts or like fencing or something.
Ooh, fencing would be cool.
I'm not big on ball, you know? Like I don't care about ball. I wouldn't I don't know.
She's definitely not a dog person.
No, like no. Which is unrelated but also kind of related. I don't know. I just like the idea of doing something more with your body, I guess, versus like focusing on like a task if you're playing a sport, I guess. I don't know. Does that kind of make sense?
I understand.
I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at. I would play tennis with you though if you wanted me to play tennis with you.
I
You just
do want you
we
to
have to
play
be on the
tennis with
same
me.
team, otherwise you'll beat me up.
Well, we would play against each other because we're both terrible. And I'll be sad when I lose because I'm terrible.
But I'm more terrible, so this is fine, probably.
Girl, I don't know. I don't know about that. I'm pretty bad. All right,
I'm
let's
excited.
spin for our last question.
Okay. I like that you just have your little rubber glove finger hitting the wheel with like the most delicate feathery ticks on earth.
It's an interesting vibe for sure. One that I will change someday.
You know, we could just glue like little plastic one on there instead of just using the silicone finger, you know?
One day. Yeah, I'll do that one day.
One day.
But our last question is, do you want to go to Australia? And the caveat to this, even though you are well aware there are big spiders there.
Yeah. I've probably mentioned this on the show before. I have close relatives who live in Australia, and would I ever want to go? I'm gonna be honest with you, it's not ever really been on my vacation list, mostly because of distance. I'm not really into heat and big fucking spiders. So, and not just big fucking spiders, big fucking poisonous spiders. And I'm like, I don't know. So, I mean, would I want to go someday? Sure. But I feel like, as far as, like, at least my understanding of it from talking to my relatives, it's very big surfing culture. And, like, that's kind of a thing there, and, like, some other things. And it's kind of like, if you're not really into that, it's kind of like, why are you going? It's like, oh, I'm going to swim in the ocean. Okay, cool. There's literally a giant jellyfish called a man of war that lives in those waters that will bite and eat your ass. Oh, okay. Also, sharks. Also, oh, you want to be on the land? Spiders. Everything else poisonous that could ever exist. Like, you know what I mean? I'm just like, okay. If you want to go for the nature, it's like, great. Nature lives in your house and it's going to kill you. You know? I'm like, okay, like, why am I there?
See, that's why I'm a bit more intrigued to go to New Zealand because they have less predators. Actually, I don't know if they have any.
Bigger sell for me.
Yeah, for sure. But I do want to go to Australia someday because I think it would be cool to go at some point. But like for the same reasons you said, it's not like high on my priority list.
No, yeah, and like to be fair, talking to my family members, they obviously do love living there because that's their home and such. But they did say it's just a very different kind of culture. So you're either with it or you're not with it. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, all right. But what do you think our story is about today?
Surf a dude in Australia goes on a rampage because he sucks at surfing.
Maybe.
What? No, you're lying to me.
I say maybe because today we're going to talk about the infamous unidentified Australian serial child rapist who has been named Mr. Cruel. So we don't know his motive. It could be because he sucks at surfing.
What? Okay, first of all, that tagline is crazy.
Yes, it is.
Okay. I don't think I'm
It's
ready.
nuts.
But I think I have to be ready.
I mean, you're here on this call with me, so, like, you have no choice.
Well, I didn't even answer your call. I technically called you, so I
Yeah.
really don't have myself to blame.
You called me. So.
I did do that.
So, Mr. Cruel, he targeted girls in the northern and eastern suburbs of Melbourne. And since he's currently unidentified, we don't know anything about him or his early life, so I'm just going to jump straight into his crimes. On August 22nd, 1987, in Lower Plenty, a man wearing a balaclava broke into a family home at 4 a.m., armed with a knife and a handgun. He tied the hands and feet of both parents and locked them in a wardrobe. He cut the phone lines in the house and then moved on to the victims. He tied their son to a bed and he raped their 11-year-old daughter. And then he left.
Cool. Not cool. That's fucked up. Okay.
On, a few months, like like a year and a bit later, on December 27th, 1988, in Ringwood, Mr. Cruel broke into a family home via the back door at about 5:20 a.m. wearing a balaclava and armed with a handgun. He bound and gagged the parents and demanded money. Then he grabbed their 10-year-old daughter, put tape over her eyes and a ball gag in her mouth. He abducted her. She was released 18 hours later on the grounds of Bayswater High School. Then, jump forward like a couple of years, on July 3rd, 1990, in Canterbury, Mr. Cruel broke into a family home at 11:30 p.m., armed with a knife and a gun and wearing a balaclava, and tied and gagged 13-year-old Nicola Lannis, placed tape over her eyes, disabled the phones, and searched for money. He then drove her to another house and molested her for 50 hours before releasing her at a power substation in the suburb of Kew.
Cool. So this guy's like, actually, I can be worse, and just keeps escalating. Like, I know this is
He's getting more brave.
I know this is a thing, especially with like rapists who do this kind of thing, or people who do crimes and get away with it. There's always an escalation, but it just pisses me the fuck off.
So, about a year later, on the morning of April 13th, 1991, 13-year-old Carmen Chan attended her regular Saturday tennis lessons at the Camberwell Tennis Center in Balwyn North, where she had begun lessons the previous year. Her mother later drove her daughter to Bullen Plaza Shopping Center, where the two ate breakfast. That afternoon, friends of the family drove Carmen and her sister to the Lower Plenty Chinese restaurant their parents operated, where the sisters ate an afternoon meal with their mother before an employee drove them home at approximately 6:30 p.m. The sisters spent approximately 1 hour at home with their father before he left to attend to business needs at the restaurant, just 10 minutes drive from their home. According to Carly and Karen, Carmen's sisters, Carmen read them a story before all three sisters watched a television special about Marilyn Monroe in Carmen's bedroom. At approximately 8:40 p.m., Carmen and Carly encountered a man dressed in a green tracksuit and wearing either a dark blue or green balaclava, wielding a large knife in the family hallway. This individual asked the girls, "See this knife? Where's your mom and dad?" Both were forced into the bedroom at knife point, where the intruder discovered Karen hunched and whimpering behind the bedroom door. All three sisters were threatened with the knife before the intruder bound and gagged the two younger girls and forced them into a wardrobe as he held Carmen by her hair, saying to the younger sisters, "I won't hurt you." He then barricaded the wardrobe with a bed before fleeing with Carmen, who was barefoot and wearing only a white floral nightdress and underwear at approximately 9:30 p.m. Investigators later determined that Carmen was led across the family garden and tennis court through a security gate onto Surplice Road, where she was almost certainly forced into an unknown vehicle parked close to the family home. Shortly thereafter, the sisters freed themselves from their bindings and the wardrobe before phoning their father to report the ordeal and Carmen's kidnapping. This call was made at approximately 9:45 p.m. With Carly blurting to her father that Carmen was missing, their father rushed home to discover Carly and Karen cowering in the laundry room. He briefly searched the house for his oldest daughter before reporting her kidnapping to the police, who arrived at the home within minutes. The Victoria Police launched an intense search to locate Carmen. All available resources were devoted to the manhunt, with numerous officers assigned full-time to locate the child. The search involved 160 police officers conducting house-to-house inquiries across eastern Melbourne in the hope of obtaining eyewitnesses. The search of nearby properties and locations of interest, and the questioning of all known sex offenders within Victoria and New South Wales by detectives trained to investigate sexual crimes against minors. Search and rescue dogs were also used in ground-level searches, and although the sniffer dogs did detect the scent of Carmen's abductor at her home, the trail he had taken with the child ended at a vacant block just 300 meters from their house on Church Road, suggesting that he had bundled Carmen into a vehicle very close to her home. An examination of the crime scene revealed that prior to entering the household, the abductor had tampered with the electricity operated security gate to gain access to the property, and either immediately before entering the house to kidnap Carmen or upon fleeing with her, her abductor spray painted Asian drug dealer payback and more to come, or more anon. The words were, I guess, a little muddled for that one, on the family's Toyota Camry in the front yard, which is just fucking rude.
Yeah, that does nothing, actually. That is
cool.
Really
so he's also rude. Racist.
Yeah, like rude and racist and unnecessary and kind of a dickhead move.
Like, pick a lane, buddy.
Already doing a heinous kidnapping crime.
Yeah. No ransom money or ransom demanded was left at the household, although the family lived in a lavish $1 million home. No money or valuables had been stolen. Carmen's parents made several emotional televised pleas for their daughter's safe return, ultimately to no avail. Within days of her abduction, Victoria Police contacted the FBI to request a psychological profile of her abductor. The profile was received on April 24th, 1991, and determined the individual most likely lived or worked close to the location of her abductor, worked either within a school or in a profession requiring frequent contact with educational academics, and that he would be diligent within his employment, likely received awards of recognition for his achievements and or performance. The individual would have created and retained pornographic material pertaining to his attacks, which he would regard as of, quote, great personal significance to himself, and although regarded by neighbors and acquaintances as a polite and respectable, if somewhat introverted individual, would have exhibited marked changes in his behavior immediately following his abductions, including uncharacteristic alcohol abuse and poor work attendance/performance, in addition to a possible piqued religious interest. Had this individual been in a relationship, the profile indicated his partner would have been aware of the elements of his sexual dysfunction, including avid pornography use and a requirement of his partner to dress or become a schoolgirl in periods of intimacy. Which is really interesting that based on like the little information they have, that they can create a profile basically like that and be like, he would be into these very specific things.
I was gonna, like, literally the same thing you brought up, I was gonna bring up, because you're right, that is very interesting to bring up that many detailed specifics. It's kind of like, how exactly would you determine a lot of these things without having more information? And also the person you're describing would be very hard to pinpoint, because it just comes across as somebody who's innocent and quiet, which is most people.
Well, yeah, it's a lot of people, you know? Mm-hmm. So the location of Carmen's abduction, the victim profile, and the description of the abductor's clothing and the modus operandi surrounding her abduction led police to rapidly link the abduction to the serial sex offender linked to several kidnappings and assaults of young girls in suburbs of Melbourne, known in the media as Mr. Cruel, who is known to have taken extreme measures to both conceal his identity in the commission of his crimes and to avoid leaving forensic evidence in his crime scenes. This connection was released to the media 24 hours after the commission of the abduction, with investigators also rapidly determining the graffiti left by the abductor upon the family vehicle had been likely an attempt to distract police attention from his true motive for kidnapping Carmen.
So what, he's smart enough to, like, not leave forensic evidence, but not smart enough to put wildly offensive racist language that has nothing to do with him on the side of a van.
But I think, like, in that sense, like, thinking about it that way, it makes sense, right? Like, if he's, like, writing things like, oh, drug dealers and something like that, maybe they'd be looking at, you know, someone who used to work for the parents at the restaurant versus outside of that. Like, it would potentially point them in the wrong direction, I think was maybe the logic.
Maybe, but then at that point it's kind of like, okay, well, the more obvious thing here is, like, if you know enough to say that, then you are obviously within the same sphere of this family to a certain degree.
Exactly. So you would look inward instead of maybe looking outward.
Right. Like, it's not as random, per se.
So on April 9th, 1992, Carmen's body was found in a section of wasteland close to an intersection of Mahoney's Road and High Street at Edgar's Creek in the suburb of Thompson Town by a man walking his dog after he spotted a human skull buried in the landfill. A search by police uncovered several vertebrae and a jawbone. Carmine was identified via DNA analysis, and an autopsy revealed the child had died of 3 bullet wounds to the back of the head, and that her body had lain at the site of her discovery for approximately 12 months. Shortly after her body was confirmed, her mom and sisters conducted a Buddhist ceremony at the site where her body was found. Which was really sad, because they were probably holding out hope that they could maybe find her.
And to sit there for 12 months is so long, too, without being discovered. I mean, obviously you'd hope, like, just discovery at all as possible, but you're right. It's the holding on to hope that's the hard part.
Yeah. So investigators believe she may have been killed because she had either seen her abductor's face or because he feared the child could identify him. It has been reported that some detectives had doubts about whether this crime was committed by Mr. Cruel. Detective Chris O'Connor answered a journalist's question in 2013 about whether Mr. Cruel was responsible, saying, quote, "We just don't know if it was Mr. Cruel who murdered Carmine. We can't be sure because there isn't enough evidence to make a value judgment about whether it was or wasn't him in the Carmine case." Mr. Cruel is believed to have videotaped or perhaps have taken still photographs of his attacks. One of his victims told police she saw a tripod and a camera set up at the end of the bed where she was held prisoner after her abduction. She was unsure if it was still or a video camera. Detectives believe that if he is still alive, he will have kept these tapes and or photos and will still collect and possibly swap child pornography. They say he almost certainly continues to collect pornography or through the internet and may communicate with children using chat lines. So Mr. Cruel meticulously planned his crimes. He bathed his victims carefully, with one victim describing the act as, quote, "like a mother washing a baby." In 2 cases, he took a second set of clothes from... Yeah. Like, that's so heinous.
Sorry. But oh my god, like, that level of, like, intimacy is just, like, an entirely different layer of disgust on top of everything else.
So, in 2 cases, he took a second set of clothes from the girls' homes to dress them before they were freed. The modus operandi was the same in each of the 3 attacks, and the victims' statements provided confirmation to police that it was the same offender. 2 of Mr. Cruel's victims were able to provide the police with details of the house where they had been kept. Both had been leashed to a bed. The same 2 victims told detectives that they had heard planes landing, leading police to believe that the house was on one of the flight paths to the Melbourne airport. Police established the Spectrum Task Force in May 1991, dedicated to catching Mr. Cruel. The task force searched 30,000 homes and interviewed 27,000 suspects over the attacks, a cost of $3.8 million. There was a $300,000 reward offered by police for information that led to the conviction of Mr. Cruel. A reward poster for the abductions was distributed in 1991 to all Victorian homes and in certain areas of South Australia and New South Wales. Huge posters were placed in public areas. The task force was disbanded in January 1994. The task force investigated earlier sexual crimes from 1985 to 1987 with similar modus operandi, but could not locate some witness statements and crime scene exhibits, including tape and rope used to tie victims. Which I always feel like it's suspicious when certain pieces of evidence go missing like that.
I do too, but I remember, this would have been a while ago, I was listening to another podcast that does crime stuff. Apparently the reason that it's wildly common is because of bad organization at the police station. So, like, it feels, for some cases, it feels very convenient. But then it's like, what feels convenient is sometimes just literally the result of people not giving a shit about what they do at their job. And I'm like, that's
sad.
I know. And I'm like, I hope that's not the case. But then you're right. You do come across certain cases where you're like, this much evidence, especially these types of evidence, should not just poof into thin air. Like, where does it go?
Exactly. Where is it, Mr. Police?
Exactly.
So the head of the Spectrum Task Force, David Sprague, said that some exhibits have never been examined by forensics and had either been lost or thrown out. The police established a rape squad in April 1989 with 9 detectives dedicated to investigating serial rapists throughout Victoria, particularly in Melbourne. The police established the unit after a review into the effectiveness of their rape investigations by the Rape Investigation and Evaluation Group, found they needed more coordinated and professional approach to the investigations. On December 14th, 2010, the police announced that the Apollo Task Force had been established about 8 months earlier following substantial new intelligence. The new task force had been reviewing both the Spectrum Task Force investigation and some new leads that had surfaced in the last year or so. The Apollo Task Force closed in June 2013 after finding the intelligence was not credible, ruling out the suspect. Earlier in 2013, the Herald Sun reported that convicted serial child rapist Robert Keith Knight, who had committed suicide in 2013, was that person of interest, and he had been convicted of 2 offenses committed in 1980 and 1996. In Detective Chris O'Connor's opinion, Robert was not Mr. Cruel. Detective Chris said eliminating such people was difficult because Mr. Cruel was meticulous and not leaving behind forensic or other evidence which could identify him. He said, quote, "There were a number of people that were rightfully eliminated from the inquiry on the basis of physical description. There were a number of persons of interest who were rightfully eliminated from the inquiry based on incontrovertible evidence and that they were at another location at the time of the offenses. That still leaves a number of persons of interest that were not in a position to say, based on the evidence that we have, that that person didn't commit those crimes. Robert Keith Knight fit into that category. In my professional opinion, I am not satisfied based on the information that we have gleaned from our victims, the crime scenes, the investigation, and our comprehensive probe into Knight, that Knight did not commit the Spectrum offense," said Detective Chris in an interview with the Herald. So, on April 9th, 2016, the Herald Sun newspaper published details of the Spectrum Task Force dossiers on 7 suspects known as the Sierra Files that were produced with the assistance of the U.S. FBI. Detectives had been issued with an instruction in 1994 following the disbandment of the Spectrum Task Force that if another child was abducted, then all of the Sierra File suspects were to be arrested and questioned, which is like crazy. Like,
that's
they're like,
lot.
We're getting all these bitches.
Yeah, one more happens, y'all are coming in.
Y'all are going to jail.
That is wild. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, I never have either. That's like a wild thing to do.
And we've done this show since like what, 2019? That's crazy.
2018.
Yeah. Wild.
So the newspaper also published details of police witness statements from the victims and their families. On April 13th, 2016, on the 25th anniversary of Carmen's abduction and murder, Assistant Commissioner Stephen Fontana announced that the reward for information leading to the identity and conviction of her murderer had been increased from the original sum of $100,000 to $1 million. A separate $200,000 reward for information on the 2 abductions committed by Mr. Cruel that leads to his arrest and conviction also remains in existence. There have been varying reports by media of suspected attacks prior to 1987. The police have never released specific details of these suspected attacks. Detective Stephen Fontana answered a journalist's question in 2001 on earlier attacks, saying that, quote, there just wasn't enough known about him and he didn't want to speculate. Which is fair, but I feel like with people who do these like grand things, there's usually like lots of smaller crimes that lead up to like a full-on rape of a child.
Oh yeah, like there's no such thing as like a one singular grand action and suddenly they're on the slippery slope of, doing more crazy
raping
things
kids
all the time. Yeah, like it always starts somewhere. And there would at the very least be somebody who'd seen some of these things and had enough questions, specifically when it comes to sexual assault of children.
Yeah. In a 2019 television documentary, retired detective Chris O'Connor said that there was, broadly speaking, perhaps up to a dozen victims for the investigation. The first victim was a 14-year-old girl who was abducted from her home in Hampton in February 1985. During her assault, the attacker told her, quote, my liberty, my freedom is more important than your life. An intimate swab was taken from the victim, but still nothing. The Sun newspaper gave the perpetrator the moniker of Mr. Cruel after the police described the serial home invasion rapist in November 1987 as, quote, super cool and super cruel, which I don't feel like he's super cool. I don't feel like he's cool at all.
Not even a little bit, actually. I know what cool is. That's not it.
No. The name was adapted by the rest of the media, and the rest is history. But that is our story for today.
See, just as like a very, very slight sidebar, I'm not on team let's give people who do crazy shit to other people cool little names.
Yeah.
I think it's a thing we should do.
I'm like on the fence because from a journalistic standpoint, I understand the utility of it,
Yeah, because it gets the word out. It's easy to remember. It's catchy enough where like not everybody's gonna know what mistake that with something else. Like I get it too, but at the same time, I'm like,
I would never describe someone who rapes children as super cool. Like that, those are words that would not come to my brain as like a, just off the tip of my tongue, Yeah,
well, speaking from the perspective of somebody who's a good person,
can we look into whoever said that, actually? Can we just see what they're doing?
I have some questions. But yeah, no, that's wild to me. Well, I know I've said wild maybe a million times in your episode today, but like, there's just so many things to unpack. My big thing too is the fact that this person was never caught, or people, I guess, since there's the possibility it was more than one person. But I don't know. As far as the case of, I misheard a couple times when you were saying her name. Is it Carmen or Carmine?
Carmine. I think
Carmine.
I might have mispronounced it. It's very Australian spelt, but I believe it's Carmine.
Okay. So in the case of Carmine too, I have a hard time believing that isn't at least somebody who knew the family well enough. And it's hard because a lot of these things too, like they would have had to either know them well enough or to have been keeping an eye on the situation and planning for a long time to do what they did with like the electricity and the plan with all of the girls and knowing that the dad wasn't home. Like these different things, like I just have a really hard time believing that wasn't somebody that they knew. As far as the other ones, I'm not too sure. They could have all been the same person, but I don't know. That's hard. What do you think?
I mean, the other ones are interesting because he always took, like, the element of surprise as his, like, kind of, like, upper hand. Whereas in the Carmine case, he waited until the dad was gone. So, like the parents were always home in the other ones. Yeah. So it's, like, either he's, like, getting, quote-unquote, smarter or more, like, you know, planning it out way more and, like, watching these people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or it's a different person. I'm not sure. But, like, some of the other things, like, do fit. Like, the fact that, like, he's wearing the black ski mask and, you know, the fact that he's, like, holding a knife and, like, the fact that he tampered with the electrical. Like, those are all things that fit.
But at the same time, what are the chances that somebody was already planning on doing this, saw what Mr. Cruel was doing, and was like, oh, great, people are already afraid of him. I can get away with what I want to do if I just do these things.
It's true. There's always a risk of a copycat in, like, these types of things because it's so sensationalized that people want, like, I don't personally understand it, but people, like, see that and want to be a part of it.
Yeah, they see
something.
The monitor
I don't really.
And they're like, oh, I want to be a part of what's happening. You're right. It's a weird psychological thing.
It's like a notoriety thing, I think. Like,
yeah.
To me, that's the only, like, logical thing that makes sense is that it's about notoriety. Because I don't necessarily understand
like, fear and maybe like a sense of control.
Yeah.
I know it's a very specific thing.
I never really understood copycats and, like, why they exist in this sense, you know?
I honestly think copycats exist because they want to take advantage of the fear base that's already been established for another killer. Or another whoever, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
Because if people think, like, oh, I am XYZ, then they're like, oh, great. You think I'm this other guy who's already been doing all these terrible things? Great, well, I'm going to do whatever terrible things I want, and you're going to think it's that same guy.
I mean, I guess,
I'm not even going to get in trouble because you think it's this person.
That's a good point. Like, I feel like it is a good strategy for not getting caught because it could be attributed to this, like, person who's done more things.
Yeah,
and if it's similar enough.
In disguise, not to, you know, tie back to your questions or anything, but it kind of is like that, though. It's like, oh, I'm purposely going to hide myself underneath this person who's already doing shitty things, and then, you know, see where that gets me. But yeah.
People suck. That's, like, the main moral of almost every story I tell on this podcast.
It usually is. It usually is.
Yes, yeah.
But yes, if you liked today's episode, make sure to leave us a review on wherever you're listening to our podcast. We also have our website, which is www.wheelcrime.com. We have our social media, which is on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok, all at Wheel of Crime. We have our Patreon at Wheel of Crime. And we have our email, which is wheelofcrime@gmail.com. We do also keep our listener stories form up on all of our social media 24/7 now. In case you're listening to the show one week and you're like, oh my god, I live in Australia and there's more things that can kill you. Or less things that can kill you. You can write it and tell us about it. We probably still won't go, but you could do that.
Isn't Australia deadly enough?
It is. And if you write in a story, you always get the chance at getting featured on our next Listener Stories episode. We do them now frequently throughout the year as they are both your guys's as far as what we've been hearing for feedback and our favorite episodes, I think. So that's always great. So feel free. And yeah, we've got nothing on the roster now. We're in a gathering phase. So like I said, if you listen to today's episode and you go, hot damn, my husband is a spider, you could tell us.
Or if you think you know who Mr. Cruel is, let us know.
True. That could also be a neat little twist to the show, but yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's all. We'll see you next week for another new episode. Okay, bye.
Bye.